his feet. I want to talk to you this morning about the possibilities of a comeback. I want to talk to you about the possibilities of a comeback. Say that with me today, the possibilities of a comeback. The possibilities of a comeback. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. I was privileged this week to read an interesting story, an article that I came across. A young man by the name of Paul Owens. Paul's father died when he was 5 years old, and then his mother died when he was 13 years old. He lost his father at 5, and then at 13 he lost his mother. From 1983 to 1988, he moved around from three states, grew up in 7 foster homes and group homes. He suffered from insecurity, instability. He suffered from abuse and emotional neglect. Not an ideal start for a young man at that very tender age. But something down in Paul's mind and thought told him he had enough insight that he needed a little more education. And so schools and religion provided somewhat an opportunity to stabilize this young man. In school, this young man somewhat found a niche for research and academics. And he led him on to graduate and even into doctoral studies. This young man, stayed in school. I read as he stayed in school, probably if he had dropped out of school, he would have probably ended up homeless like a lot of foster children at the age of 18. They have nowhere to go, but Paul stayed in school. And I'm here to tell you this morning that this young man is now a professor at Montreat College in North Carolina. He is a professor there teaching Greek and biblical studies. And brothers and sisters, not only now he has gone on to write his own memoir that is entitled The Long Winter. That long winter, he talks about one man's journey through the darkness of foster care. And brothers and sisters, you might say that when Paul started out that the odds were stacked against him. But I don't know, brothers and sisters, but I believe that is the possibility of a comeback. Because you see, this young man goes from an orphan to a professor. I don't know if you all get that, but he goes from an orphan to a professor. And so this morning, our text this morning is tailored to teachers, because just like Paul was an orphan, there is a young man that I'm getting ready to talk to you about who ended up being an orphan. His name was Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth, brothers and sisters, is a beautiful story. Here is another beautiful Old Testament picture that is so brightly mirrored of God's way of salvation to dying and lost men. Mephibosheth, brothers and sisters, is an interesting man. He has an interesting name, brothers and sisters, but I believe, brothers and sisters, when I read this, it talks about the possibility of a comeback. Mephibosheth had suffered as a result of a fall, brothers and sisters, and he just 5 years old. Listen here, he grew up, his house of Saul had been crushed and ruined, and now his father had been slain in battle. And brothers and sisters, listen, many people would have thought that Mephibosheth's life was over. His home had been wrecked. His home had been now demolished. His father's had been killed. His grandfather's house had been crushed and ruined. And now he has to suffer from a fall where he is lame in both of his feet. I don't know about you all, brothers and sisters, but there may be somebody somebody who had already wrote off Mephibosheth. Somebody probably had already said, this young man's life is over. There's no way that he's able to bounce back from all of that, what he has gone through. But I want to raise this morning this subject of, once again, the possibilities of a comeback. Just look at somebody and tells you the possibility of a comeback. You know, brothers and sisters, I know that some of you all in here today cannot see the possibility of a comeback, especially the times and the difficulties that you and I are living in. Oh, you know what's been going on around us. You've been watching the news lately. You've been listening to the radio and reading the paper. You've been hearing your neighbor, and you've been thinking that, is America, can they come back even after a shutdown? I don't know about you all, but you don't realize it, but God specializes in shutdown comebacks. Can I help you? Because there have been times that your house have been shut down. Not only have there been times in your house, but there have been times in your own life that you've gone through a shutdown. But tell your neighbor, not only have I gone through a shutdown, God showed up. Or to have somebody on your road today and ask your neighbor the possibilities of a comeback. Everybody said the possibilities of a comeback. The times that you and I are living in, people want to give up on the game of life. I don't know, but it's amazing that the day that we live in, this is a giving up generation. Giving up. It's amazing now that everybody right now don't want to fight no more. You got to make up in your mind, like Celia, all my life I've been fighting, and you got to fight right now. Some of y'all fought to get over here. You fought the bed to get out of the bed this morning. But tell somebody, you better come on, because I see the possibility of a comeback. Look at your neighbor and say the possibilities of a comeback. You ought to tell your neighbor right now, this is the best time for you to take a picture of me right now, because what you see right now, I may be lame in some of my situation. I may be having a lame marriage or a lame divorce. I've been coming out of a lame job. I'm in a lame physical situation. I've got some lame embarrassing. I've got some lame stuff going on in my, I've got lame sons. I've got lames. But tell somebody, do you see the possibility of a comeback? Grab somebody and tell somebody, do you see the possibility that God can bring you back out of a situation that maybe you didn't have nothing to do with? Because some of you all have become the victim of your own situation. Point at pastor if I'm preaching right quickly. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, this is not the time to give up on the game of life. These are the times that makes us want to give up on the dream of going back to school. We give up on looking for a job. We give up looking for and trying to find the right mate, and so we just settle for anything. Oh my God, don't have to work now, just want a pair of breeches and shoes on, and now you just settling for anything. This is the time that we're giving up on trying to live healthy. This is the time that we're giving up on writing our own book. This is the time that many of us are giving up on trying to buy our own house. We've just been settled. We've been too settled for just renting from another man's house. But now it's the time for you to have your own. It's no reason for you to have a Jaguar pulling up at an apartment. There's no reason for you to be riding around in a Mercedes being in a Section 8 home. Come on, help me here, somebody. Y'all don't want to help me, but look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, you ought to have some comeback in your spirit. I know they don't want to talk to me, because some of y'all sitting up in here this morning, y'all love to see folks when they're down, but tell somebody, do you see the possibility of a comeback? You see, you got to stop sitting up in here trying to discuss somebody's past. You need to ask them, do you see the possibility of? Look at your neighbor and say, it's time to come back. I wish somebody right now would just get up and just tell your neighbor, I'm coming back, and you don't even know it. Slowly but surely. Tell somebody, slowly but surely. I need about 55 folks to holler, come back. I need 51 people. I just need